Hey there, hi there, ho there, ladies and gentlemen, whatever time it is where you're at, wherever you're watching this, welcome to the studio this evening and tonight. I know this doesn't look like much of a reference photo to you, but to me this has great significance. When we all were sent home from work to live in self-isolation or quarantine or social distancing, I still had quite a lot of work to do, and like many people around the country and around the world, I was forced to do some work from at home. I decided to set up a little outside office, and every time I would look up into the sky, this is what I would see. And after a few days of looking up and seeing this above me, and really, this is the only patch of sky that I really could see from my outside office. I decided to do a little painting of this, and so I'm going to bring it to you. Here it is. I'm sorry that the camera is going in and out of focus. It does that from time to time when I don't have any color on the paper. I have only a white. But I'm going to start by doing some cabling here and putting on a little bit of masking fluid. You see my new little line tool here, my masking fluid line tool. It's got a little knob on there that you can turn and make the lines a little wider or a little narrower. And the only thing I have to do is dip this into my masking fluid. I know everybody says don't shake it, don't shake it, don't shake it. You'll get air bubbles in it. Well, I've learned that with this dip pen for this masking fluid, the best way to do this is to make it really homogeneous in there. The only way you can do that is to shake it. And so by shaking my masking fluid, I could get some lines on there. There you can see them on there. And I think I'm just about ready to get on with doing a little bit of the actual painting itself. Now, if you look to the reference photo, right, this happened in March that we all got sent home, at least here in the US, late March. And the late March here where I live, the skies don't look like much. They're usually overcast, not super bright during the day, and so as a result, that's what the background of this painting looks like. I'm painting on B paper, which is a very light, all cotton watercolor paper. Just hang with me while this is going in and out of focus. I know it's a bit frustrating, but I promise you it will pass very soon as we get some color onto this page. And I'm just dipping on into straight water, nothing else in it, to wet my page down just ever so slightly. I'm using a wide 2-inch flat brush to do that with. There we go. I think I've got all of that page covered in water, save for the pole itself and that little power transformer. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of cobalt blue for my sky, very light. As I pointed out previously, the sky here behind this phone pole or this power pole, I guess, it's not, they can't be phone poles anymore, right? Almost nobody has a phone. We just got to start calling it a power pole, since everybody uses a cell phone now. And here, just getting on a little bit, a very light color of that cobalt blue behind. There we go. Maybe I need to darken that just a little bit. Come on, Michael. There we go. Just a little bit darker in there. Not much, but just to add a little bit more in there. So it's going to dry pretty light. It'll actually dry just about like the original there. All right, now we can start to see the shape that we have, and the camera should maintain a little bit of focus a bit better than it is now. The next thing that I need to do on this is start painting that pole. And here I've got a cross member here. I'm going to paint There we go. I'm using my Rubloff brushes right now. These are Russian sable, Kolinsky sable brushes. I'm just going to turn this for a second to make it easier to make a straight line. And there we go. And it just touched in that corner. I'm going to get a little tiny bit of a bloom, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I should say I've had this painting up on social media for quite a while now, and I've gotten a lot of comments on it. And people's initial thoughts when they look at it is that it's a photograph. And so that kind of makes me happy that I did such a good job on it. But it makes me wish I'd done it a little bit bigger. I'd done maybe not just this small size. This is like 9 inches by 12 inches, the size of this paper, somewhere in there. All right, I'm just getting a little gray on that power can that's there, and I'm going to darken it on one side. There's not a deep shadow here because, like I said before, March, where I live, is fairly gloomy. We do get a little bit of sun, but not too much sun. And on this day, I don't think we got much of any sun. And if I'm gonna put some dark on one side, I need to take a little off on another side and make a little bit of a highlight, but not too much of either. That's what I've done there. And now I need to paint the pole. And I'm going to get ready to do that with a little bit of yellow ochre here. And I'll put a little bit of Payne's gray in there. Oops. I guess I've got another cross member. I'm going to paint down here. The cross member on the top is actually metal and it's quite a bit darker. And the one underneath is actually a wood cross member. It's quite a bit lighter. Yes, there it is. Rubloff brush. It's got a handle. Perfect. Thank you, Michael. Move on to something else, please. And that's how I hold it. I'm not sure what I'm talking about as I'm doing this, but I wish I was moving along in the painting a little bit more. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm waiting for it to dry just a little bit. I need it to dry before I can get on to the next layer. Even though I've sped this up, I've only sped this up slightly. And so it's going about twice as fast as it would in real time. So it is drying, but just maybe not quite as quickly as it does in real life. No, that didn't make sense. About twice as fast as it does in real life. So that I can bring it to you like this. All right, and here's the pole. We're getting to it. Couple little connectors there. I'm gonna get just a line. There's a little sign here, a little orangish, yellowish sign. It actually says high voltage on it. And then continue on down with that same old color there. Like I said, it's a little yellow ochre. Oh, maybe it's got a little burnt umber in there, just a little bit, and some gray in there. Everything gets a little bit of gray color on it. Right on down. And I'm not too worried about the stuff way down at the bottom. If this ever gets put into a frame, that'll be way out of frame. We won't have to worry about it. All right, there's a little sepia in there, along with that little bit of ochre. And if we're trying to be consistent, putting all the shadows on the same side, I've got to put it on the right-hand side. And I'm just going to give that a little blend, almost no water on that brush. There you go. We got a little bit of a shadow on that phone pole there. And there might be a little bit of a shadow, a little bit of a dark area right on the back side of this. There it is. that transformer or whatever that thing is called. And soften that out a little bit. At this on the first layer, I don't need a hard edge, and then there's a little dark underneath that cross member on the top. And I've got something going on over there I just pointed out. I'm not exactly sure what that is. All right, and making sure, there we go, that you can see that there's some dimension on this piece. I'll put it on. Of course, that piece doesn't stop there like that. It continues all the way through. But it's at a funny angle, and it's almost off the page. And as I said, everything where those pieces come together would be totally underneath a border if we were to ever put one on there. So I'm not overly concerned about that. All right, I'm going to mix a little blue-gray here. I'm going to put it on the bottom of this transformer. There it is, and I think you'll see when I get the bottom of that on, it really starts to add a bit of dimension to this. There it is. Now you can see it's got some serious dimension. It's really round now. Actually, I could force the shadow on the right-hand side even more. It would make it even a bit more dramatic, but I'm not going to. I don't know what that little dance was I was doing. I'm obviously happy that I'm painting again. And yes, there's everything in the picture that I see. I have no idea what I'm talking about. All I want to do is get back to painting. All right, a little cobalt blue, a little Payne's gray, maybe a little bit of sepia in there. Just mixing a nice color. Come on, Michael, let's get back to what you're doing. Pay attention, pay attention. All right, here we go. I've got that color, and I need to figure out what I'm doing is what I need to do. I was pulling up the picture just to see what this little insulator on the side is hanging off here. I want to try and get that painted in there just about right. And I've got a couple of other little insulators here that I need to paint in. Here they are. They're just kind of hanging around there. I don't, like I said, I'm not sure exactly. What I'm trying to figure out here is which one of these are powered and which one of these are holding up the entire thing. It seems funny. The wires that are coming out of this transformer are big, thick, heavy cables, and the two at the top that seemingly are giving power to this are really thin. So I'm a little confused on how this whole thing works. But I guess that's not for me to worry about. Yep, that's the one I think that's holding everything up right there. Another transformer, another little bit of metal at least, something like that over there. Or insulator, I don't mean transformer, I mean insulator. Okay. Switching brushes again, something a little bit larger, and I'm pre-wetting this transformer. I've noticed that with this B paper that on your second wash, it doesn't do it so much on your first wash, which I don't quite understand, but on your second wash, if you don't pre-wet it, your paints will definitely form some hard lines in there, and on this anyways, I definitely don't want a hard line on it. I want a nice soft line, and this one is going to help define the back side of this. There it is. Now we've got something that looks like it's got some dimension to it. Yes, that's the light is going that way. It also looks as though I need to make the bottom quite a bit darker as I do it. All right, I've got some insulators or something here anyways. Big long insulators here. Trying to get that camera in focus so you can see it, get everything centered in there. I've got me hiding behind the camera. I try not to pull that camera down too far, because I don't need my face to be right underneath it. All right, this is a little darker underneath here. There it is. And it's actually starting to look like exactly what I want it to look like. Just a little run there. It really doesn't matter. I didn't need to do that because there's a little bit of a shadow there. I could fix that later if I wanted to, but I'll take care of it now. Is that pole dry? Is that pole dry? If that pole is dry, I can grab a brush and I can do the same thing I did before. I don't think it's quite dry yet. I'm going to work on a little bit of these insulators here. All right, they've got a few lines, a few shadow lines in them. Just following the form of them to make them look, there it is, to make them look like they're actually got something more than just being a gray blob. There's a little bit that's in there. I think that's just there to help hold that pole up. Thinking about it, what's wet, what's dry, what can I do here? These have, there's that insulator. Here's this insulator. I'm guessing, I don't know exactly what those do, but it seems like it has like little ribs on there. Maybe it's to dissipate some heat. I don't know. I don't know why they would make it that way. I guess it doesn't matter. Looks like I'm struggling to get my brushes right there. I've got too many of them over there. I need to simplify that number of brushes that I have, but here's that little metal connector that holds that insulator on. And a little one on this side, which is holding that one. There it is. And we're getting there. There's a little dark on one side of that, maybe a little light on another side. But you can see now it's attached actually to the pole itself. Start to put a little bit of detail on this can. Don't need to do much. We don't need to do much to it. There's not much to it. But we do need to do a little bit just to make it a bit more believable. It needs to be a bit more than a gray blob up there, but it doesn't need to have every speck of dirt done on it. And you can see like that, it really looks pretty realistic as it's sitting up there. There, yes, I do need to darken that up just a bit. Well, maybe a bit more than that, I would think, Michael. Come on. It's easy to say I need to do a bit more as I'm watching the video back days and weeks later. Oh, there we go. That's going to help out. Sometimes it's hard to recognize as you're doing it exactly how dark or how light you need your paint to be. It is funny how that happens. All right, are we dry? Are we kind of dry? Must be somewhat dry. I'm going to put another coat of water on here, a layer of water, so I can darken this up a little bit more. Right, a little bit of cobalt blue in there to match the sky behind. A little bit of sepia. And we've just made that pole just that little bit darker. You do it on one side, you kind of have to do it on the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to throw a little bit on that other side over there, just to keep it somewhat the same. And then this is dark up there. There's a little shadow area. There, just like that. Good, good, good. And slowly and surely, after a few layers here, it's starting to come together. This is the shadow from that transformer right there. It's a little bit darker. Now you see the two white spots on there. I haven't done those. Those are actually what are connecting the transformer to the phone pole. There it goes. And you see me paint over those wires in a couple of places. And again, that's where I put on that little bit of masking fluid. So you won't see any color stick to that. I'll have to rub that off in just a little bit. And a little, maybe make it a little darker, I guess, over here. I've got to draw that out a little bit if I'm going to make it that dark. But it definitely looks like it's got some roundness to it. Oh yes, there we are. Pull just a little bit of that out. Just a bit. There we go. It's helping to bring that to life a little bit. If I'm going to make one shadow a little darker, I'm going to make this shadow a little bit darker. And there we go. Oh yeah, see, there you go. If you put that, haha, it's going to fit right under that frame. You'll never see it, depending upon, of course, where you put that frame. When I drew this, I had thought that the frame would cover this part quite easily. When I put the frame on there, you saw it didn't cover it maybe quite as easily as I thought it would have. I was a little surprised in that. Okay, and I need to draw in some wires, so I'm going to get out some colored pencils here. And here's a whole bunch of them. Let me grab those and pull those out, and I'm going to use these to draw in some of the wires. I've got a choice of gray here and a couple of darker ones. And let's see what looks good here. Yeah, maybe not quite dark enough. That's going to look better. It's just a lot easier for me if I'm doing a straight line or a curved line, any kind of fine line really. If I use a colored pencil to draw that with, instead of trying to do that with a rigger brush. That rigger brush, that's never ever going to work for me. I would like to think I'm that good, but my hands just are not that steady. I'm not even sure they're steady enough to do a colored pencil line, but that's what we're going to do. Again, I've already pre-drawn these. You've seen them the whole painting, but I'm going to just make them a little darker. They'll stand out. And actually, I think they look pretty good the way they are on here. You can't tell that it shouldn't have been a colored pencil. They make a very nice, very fine line here. Looks exactly like a wire. I had to go over that masking fluid just a little bit there. Oh, I've got a little spot up here. I need to paint this high voltage sign. It's a little yellowy orange bit of something. Maybe that was a little too much paint. There we go. It just says high voltage. I'm not even going to write high voltage on it. From the ground, it's very hard to see even when it says high voltage. It just says something, but it looks like there are two, like I said, orange-yellow straps that go on up there. So I put those on. And a couple of other details. I've got these two little knobs right there where everything's connected together. I'm going to put those on. And I think take the masking fluid off. There's one of them, and here's the other one. Very nicely done. And here I'm just going to rub some of that off. And while I rub that off, you can watch me do that. Down below, you can get a link. Oh, it's a little bit wet. My finger's getting a little close. Down below, you can get a little link to my website. You can get links to my Etsy store and my Instagram and Twitter down below if you'd like to donate to help keep the studio here running on its own, paying for itself, hoping to bring you some good content. Then please hit the donate button. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can go to my website and donate to the coffee fund, which is run through a site called Ko-Fi, K-O-F-I, or you can click on the beer fund, which goes right to the studio PayPal account. They both end up in the same area. And no, I don't really use one for beer and one for coffee. Well, I do use one for coffee from time to time. I do use some of the funds for that, I will admit. Or you can click on the link down below to help donate. That would be very much appreciated, but not necessary. Oh, there we go. It looks pretty good. I think it looks really great, especially in comparison to the real thing. Just a couple of more small little details to go to make it look exceptional. And with that, look at that. That is my view. It's my only view of the sky as I've been working from home. I'm going to sign it and call it good. There it is. And I'm going to say thank you to all of you who stayed with me this whole time. I appreciate it. We'll see you back here in the studio next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.